Okay.
Selina and I had recently been married in 1967 and had gone out to Nigeria. It was bad timing because it was the middle of a civil war. The war started as we were steaming in. But Selina knew Ruth particularly well because she had worked in the anti-apartheid movement. From when to when was it?
Well, I can't remember when I started, but I think it must have been 63 when I came over from South Africa.
Yeah, you had been
Yes.
imprisoned in South Africa.
I was arrested in South Africa and I left, and I came over and joined the anti-apartheid movement, and I became their membership secretary shortly after they moved into their offices in Charlotte Street. And then Ruth came over shortly afterwards, I think, and was quite a presence around the office. And we got married and left, and at that point I left the anti-apartheid movement and we went off to Nigeria. And in Nigeria I got a job at the Institute of African Studies, and one day Ruth turned up and said, "Look at my hair! This is no place for a white woman. And can I come and stay with you?" And so she just moved into our house for about 5 weeks, I think it was. And
she was at that time doing research for the book that has been
The Barrel of the
alluded
Gun.
to several times, The Barrel of the Gun. And she was basically trying to interview the leading political and military figures in Nigeria. And so she was partly asking me to help, and Selina in the background, with contacts and ways forward to get through. But of course Ruth's personality was such that she managed to get hold of these people without much help from us.
she was like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
She just talked to Robin all the time, so she got to know absolutely everything that was in his head. She took it out. Oops.
It was actually emptied it out. So I was lecturing in political science at the University of Ibadan. And by the end of it, I don't think I had anything left to give her, only in 5.
And then she wrote to us shortly after she left, and she said, "You cannot believe my luck. I've walked straight out of Nigeria into Sierra Leone." Was Sierra Leone, wasn't it?
Yes, where there was a coup.
And a coup. I couldn't have had better luck.
So, of course, this was all grist to the mill because she was using this as part of the book. But one of the aftermaths of this period, which I found kind of interesting, was she had managed, through her persuasive talk and her charismatic personality, as you've heard all about that, to get into a meeting of the so-called Northern Interim Services Council, which was effectively the committee that ran the Civil War on the federal side. So it was, if you like, going into a cabinet meeting, and they just let her in and they started to talk about things, and she sucked out all sorts of information from them, and they afterwards did a security check on her, afterwards, not before, and realised that she was
In the Communist
in the
Party.
Communist Party, and she had all sorts of, as it were, revolutionary credentials, which they knew nothing whatever about. So an instruction went from Kano to Lagos, to the head of the security branch, to clean up this situation. By this time, Ruth had already left.
Yes.
So we then became the targets of this investigation as to what her credentials
So they came
were.
round to wire up our house.
Yeah, they wanted to kind of eavesdrop in our house. And this guy came around and he started fiddling with all the plugs and this, that and the other. And it was quite clear he was up to no good, and we interrogated him. And I think you challenged him.
I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "We just like this house so much. We wonder if we could get another one built the same." And I said, "It's a housing estate. You can get the plans from the central office."
It was just sort of a uniform, awful house. But I also got an invitation from the university security officer to attend a meeting. I'd been on the campus already for about a year or so. And I was on the staff. So then suddenly this rather nice old chap, who was obviously a retired copper, had been given a whole series of questions by the Lagos security people. And she went through them one by one. How did I know Ruth first? And then, are you black or white? I said, well, I'm white, you know. And so he went through these mechanical questions, ticking, and rather embarrassedly said at the end of it, well, I had to ask all these things. I hope you understand. And we never really heard anything after this, but this was the kind of wash that Ruth left after she'd been there, done it, and gone on.
She was a very dynamic woman.
Very dynamic.
When she died, a light went out. I really related to what Albie said, because
that was actually
something changed. London didn't.
Yeah.
It was very, very odd.
And
And
then,
yet she got terrible headaches, didn't she?
Yeah.
She used to sit like this.
Yeah, so she suffered from migraines, I think, and so her intensity was driven by that sort of physical pain as well. It was quite extraordinary, but it was very, very, very vivid and very charismatic, but also very kind to you.
She was very sweet,
We were back in the UK, in London, on leave, I think in 68, 69.
68.
It must have been the summer of
After,
that period.
yes, she left us.
And you suddenly fell ill of some terrible thing.
Yes, I had to stay behind. Robin went back to Nigeria. I had a baby then, and she used to have me around every Sunday.
Yeah.
She was very sweet, and she was very kind, and her 3 daughters did resent her rather, I have to say.
Well, she gave a lot of time to other people. That, of course, came across in that film that they made of her. But Selina was very grateful for her really rather loving care. She had that sort of rather caring side, although she was extremely intimidating as well. You know, so I remember, I won't say exactly who this person is because it's sort of embarrassing, but it was in this very building that I was in a conference some years later, and the conference table was set out with a tablecloth that didn't quite conceal people's legs, and at the top you could see Ruth and 2 or 3 of the other panelists talking in a very studied kind of way, and Ruth was really just going for this one guy, and he was trying his very best to stay cool, but although his face and his shoulders were relaxed and apparently at ease, under the table his legs were shaking like they were like jelly, so she actually had that effect on people, which was quite extraordinary because she was completely tenacious in argument, completely ruthless in what she said, completely clear-headed, and completely unafraid of any sort of saying things that could be regarded as, if you like, slightly tactless or discourteous or something of that sort. So a very remarkable person who we got to know quite well over the years, and we were very, very fond of.
Yeah, I was sad when she died.
So sad. All right, so is that
anyway,
it?
I thought for your archives, a couple of photos.
And we'll write you a little narrative if you want to, surrounding that particular day when we took her to Oshogbo. It was an extraordinary day.
We went to see Suzanne Wenger, and the monkeys were climbing on everybody's shoulders. And then when we went back to Ibadan, I suppose it was about an hour's drive, was it?
Yes.
They asked us to take a buck, and I had to sit in the back of the car with this buck. Ruth sat in front, of course, with Robin driving.
Well, the buck was rescued by Suzanne.
I was about 7 months pregnant.
Yeah. I think the circumstances where the buck was to be rescued from being chopped by the local populace, and we were designated to take it to Ibadan Zoo.
Yes, that's right.
That was the assignment. Yeah. So we had some strange times with Ruth. And we can write a little story around that day in a short book, in which she also incidentally gave us a very generous gift.
I know, lovely. She bought us a Twin 77. Twin 77 is now a very famous Nigerian artist. And she bought us a picture of poisonous flying lizard dog in a red village, which is in our house in Oxford right now.
So that's our memory of Ruth. We see her every day as we walk out. We see this picture and we remember her.